And the recording is started. So hi everyone and welcome to the bi-weekly Kubeflow Model Registry. Today is September the 3rd and as usual I have a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and adheres like every other working group meetings in Kubeflow to the CNCF Code of Conduct. So in this meeting, we go through an agenda that you are seeing displayed on the screen right now. Everybody, please feel free to join or to interact and add to meeting items if they want to speak about or to share with the community. Or as well as we're using it as a backbone to track all the work that we are doing for the Kubeflow Model Registry working group. Now, before I just leave the floor to the first item, I just want to call out that in the previous bi-weekly meeting, we had an excessive demo from the UI folks. So as we also share in the community, the general community meetings that runs every Tuesday for Kubeflow, I totally invite you to check out the previous recording because there were a lot of details and a lot of information shared from the UI team. So I just wanted to make sure, please don't miss out on the previous bi-weekly call, especially because of that. So with that, we have also quite an agenda for today. So with that, I will now give the mic to Jenny and for about the material UI in Kubeflow Model Registry. I think that you want to share the screen, so if you want, I can stop mine.
Awesome. Thank you, Matteo. Yeah, that sounds great. I think I will steal the screen share from you. But just to give a quick intro, thank you to all the leadership here for joining from ROI and Patternfly and UXD. Some exciting updates to share as part of this theming effort for Kubeflow. So I'm going to just share my screen and show you guys the great progress here. All right. Okay, great. Perfect. Looks like that's working. Great. So just to give a quick update from the last meeting, there were some folks here. That meeting was sharing what the latest updates were in ROI, but now the exciting next step for this progress here is that all of that code has now been moved upstream to Kubeflow. So this is all of this theming effort within Kubeflow and in the model registry area. So now all of the conditional rendering has been removed, and the Kubeflow UI applies the MUI theme by default. So now model registry uses MUI, and we can see the theming here. So the latest thing that was added here is this form input styling. So this, you might not have seen this last time at the last community meeting, but now we apply this styling to the search input where MUI applies this selectable state and changes the color of the label. So that's new and exciting, and everything else here as well, just to give a quick demo of what MUI styling looks like. So we have this drop shadow here under the drop downs. And then as mentioned before, MUI likes their uppercase letter styling. So there's a lot of uppercase styling on the buttons, on the drop downs, and the styling here. They also apply this circular hover behavior. Patternfly does like a square hover state. So a lot of circles there, circle hover states. And labels as well. Labels, it's hard to show a side by side, so I can pull up here what it looked like in Patternfly, but this is essentially the same deal. So this is model registry in Open Data Hub, and we can see the styling, similar styling happening here and there as well. So now that all lives over here, which is exciting, good progress with that. And yeah, the next step is to style this register model form. So as you see here, there's some issues with the styling. So this is all currently Patternfly styling. This is what Patternfly is doing with their model registry form. And we have this path input here that's a bit out of alignment. So to show that finalized styling in Open Data Hub, if we go here and click register model, all of that styling has been added here. So as the migration to model registry and Kubeflow is going on, we'll be bringing the styling into there. So this screen was just added, I believe, last week and merged into upstream Kubeflow. So this will be next, adding the styling. And as you see here, MUI has their own like disabled styling relative to Patternfly. So it's a bit different from how Patternfly does it with the darkened state for their disabled inputs. Again, same thing for the selected state with their styling on the label and the asterisk. Patternfly has this red asterisk going on there. And yeah, same thing for here as well. We also have this fancy new styling here for the path field. As you noticed before, there was a bit of an alignment issue here. So now we'll have some more consistency with the rest of the inputs when we apply the MUI theme with that icon here that's leading the input. That still needs some additional styling, but that's currently still in progress, and will be exciting to get in with the remaining effort to port all of these changes over to Kubeflow. So with that, yeah, great progress here, and happy to take any questions or feedback from the community.
Thank you, Jenny. I think this is fantastic. And also maybe just for everybody who joined a bit in the meeting. So Jenny here is presenting about the progress update about the material UI styling. I'll rephrase it, but Jenny, please, of course, correct me whenever I'm wrong, about the styling for the Model Registry UI header.
Yeah, thank you so much for this, Jenny. Just to let everybody know that beside this work, so that's work that Jenny is doing right now, our goal is to start in October to figure out how to integrate this with Kubeflow dashboard. So besides, because right now here we are seeing, can we swap for the other tab, Jenny?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, this we are creating this standalone app for Model Registry for us to have fast interactive development. Our end goal is to put everything together inside Kubeflow dashboard, and we hopefully to have this until the end of the year.
And the work that I think that we should underline again for people who may be sort of like looking at the recording and they missed on the previous meetings, just highlight again, these stylings enables your team, Jenny, Heather, and all the others, to basically move the code for the Model Registry UI upstream, because then it means that you can reuse a lot of the code. It means that you can use a lot of the styling language to make it compatible with the sort of the style language that Kubeflow adopts. So this is, I think, a great way to contribute to the upstream community. I just want to underline, because I appreciate a lot on this, but I think that reiterating for people who may be just joining for as new members from the Kubeflow, they may also appreciate this one. So thank you so much for all these updates, because I think it's really relevant to showcase on how this code can be really made fully upstream.
Yeah, this is a nice point, Matteo, because Jenny was showing the ODH here, just because we are in the middle of this migration. Because as soon as we finish this work upstream, we are able to release everything there. We start to do this integration with the dashboard. We are move everything upstream, and probably we are going to stop doing investments on all the data hub and move all the Ys for Kubeflow upstream.
Yeah, so what I like a lot about this one, and at least what I see, what I'm just observing, and that I think is very important, is that there is a lot of reuse here. Because with this styling, and it also not only applies potentially to Model Registry UI, but to others kind of like UI effort that may arise in the future as well.
Yep. Thank you. Great presentation, Jenny. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. If I may, Heather, do you have any other updates that you wanted to follow up from the UI side while I have you here as well?
Yeah, not too much. I'll have to leave in a few minutes. It's just that we are, Matteo, we are working to define our scope for 110. I would like to know it for the next call. Lucas and myself, we can present this, but for sure we will have some stuff to show. It's just we're defining what will be the scope, especially because there are some features that we are discussing for 110 in the community, and maybe there will be some impact on the UI. I just want to double check with him and the team to decide what we're going to do, but for sure we will have some UI integrated to the dashboard.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. And again, big kudos to Jenny and all the team from the UX. It's also, I think, is like one of the highlights is that it's not only this, not only just UI work, but there's also UXD here that is involved in the community. Is such great and refreshing. So thank you also for taking the time to present today and making this sort of like presentation in this working group. Thanks so much, Jenny, and all the others UXD. All right. So I think that we can follow up on the next agenda items, unless there are any questions. But I didn't see any raised hand, only kudos or reactions in the chat. So if there are any question, please feel free to raise your hand or type it in the chat. Otherwise, we can move along to some of the other items in the agenda of today. I think that we have sort of like some items to keep tabs on for the Model Registry storage initializer. So we had discussed a bit on some integration aspect here. I don't have actually an update from today from Andrea, but one of the things that we were discussing is indeed to potentially have as part of the manifest options the storage initializer. So to make these out of the box. My suggestion here would actually be that we can follow up on the sometimes down the line about doing so, especially because I have another action item or agenda item here about the release process, so that hopefully we can take it as part of that, since updating the manifest will require some synchronization and update with the Kubeflow manifest working groups. So there is about that one. I will try to move forward sort of like smoothly on all the items. Please, if I'm going too fast, feel free to raise a hand and interrupt me, because then we can leave sometimes to items that we may need to discuss. I think that we sort of like need to consider starting to revamp a bit the effort that we were trying to do for the MLflow integrations. This is because, or sort of like the import from MLflow more specifically, this is because as far as I understand, as far as I remember, Leo and Chanakia actually as well moved on to some different work job obligations. So I think it could be hard to hear from them in the upcoming month. Nothing is sort of like I wouldn't totally give up, but I would take a more realistic and pragmatic approach, so that these are couple of items or areas that will likely need some revamping down the line here. So there is that. I think as well that we didn't hear any more about tracking from these pull requests, if I remember correctly. So I think that I'm just keeping it on the on tabs, but this is what's coming more from the training side. So we will see on how that will evolve. The PR is still open, and no comments. I would on these line items, I will simply hold a little bit to see from the training sort of like side if that gets highlighted or sort of like goes a bit into the back burner. Then one of the items that I actually just added, because we were just discussing that in the previous release team meetings, and I don't want to steal the thunder from Milos, but I will just try to summarize it briefly. And then Milos, if you wanted to add something to that, the release team for the Kubeflow 1.10 is looking into the general themes for the release. So this is where they will be asking us as the Model Registry working group, what will be potentially one of our team or 1-2 of our teams, plural. So I think this is our call to make, and I've also sort of like socialized some ideas with somebody, but I think that eventually we will need to follow up in the next bi-weekly call to come up with a proposal. Milos, did I summarize that correctly? Sort of like what the release?
Yes. I think we have plenty of time to summarize this, and I think this working group is really good. We don't have like there's some other groups that are like much more problematic. So I'm really optimistic about this.
Right, Ramesh.
Matthew, can you go a little bit deep into, what do you mean by themes? I mean, are you looking at kind of, features we are going to put out from the model registry, or
No, I can definitely thank you.
the definition of a theme?
Yeah. I can definitely go into more detail. Just give me 1 minute. So if I remember in Kubeflow, there was like a roadmap here. There was a document called roadmap. And in the document roadmap, what they have, so it's like when they release the team set forth for the next release, they have, of course, links to every working group's roadmap. But sort of like high level, this is the role that, for instance, Stefano Fioravanzo was taking for the 1.9 to define what could be the general themes. And this is what, for instance, Josh is asking the product manager role. Okay, for the 110, what are the main key highlights? And of course, here there is a lot of the Kubeflow working groups can contribute for as well as transversal teams for a release. So for instance, in the Kubeflow 1.9, some of the teams were about refreshing the Kubernetes version supports, progressing on the CNCF transitions. LLMs was a support for the training. If I will remember, was one of the team. We got our spotlight here as introduction for alpha and as well for the KFP v2. So, and you can see the sort of like the effect on that one is that for the blog, then these are again key themes that are highlighted when you refresh it. So, okay. So it's like to me, it's more of a theme than a feature specifically. So this is where they're asking each of the working group to think if they can contribute a theme. Does it? I think that it does answer the question, but I wanted to sort of like show you how does it sort of like play out throughout the release.
So do we need to write out any proposal, or we just need to come up with the titles for this?
That is up to us. So let's say I've tried to ping Heather, then we can take the time. Everybody in the call can take a little sort of like homework and see what is possible to do. We have our team that we are defining as a general roadmap, but now they're asking if that will be part of the 1.10. So there is that. Yep, Dheeraj.
Just looking for some kind of like user story. I know that he was asking for that earlier, right? Is that what they mean by theme? That they want some kind of like user story that says, oh, this is a pain point for users and we are going to solve it this way.
It was not the kind of like the way that I interpreted that one, but Milos, if you have also some more details about this team, but I kind of like had it as of like a product perspective of key highlights, not necessarily a feature or capability, but some key aspect to revolve around. Because for instance, you can see that Kubeflow, Kubernetes 129 is hardly like a major features, or like CNCF, the progressing on the CNCF is not the technical feature. So I would say more high level.
Some general approach, yeah.
But again, let's say I think that here as the Model Registry working group, they are asking us what is the theme for Model Registry for 1.10.
Yeah, like an overarching story than specific features.
Yeah, And the shorter that we are, the sort of like it will be, in my opinion, more strategic for us, because then we can, fill in with more details as we are approaching the release, rather than
Right.
setting detailed things, because it's not the roadmap; it's just one key theme.
It's some vague high level
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, we can even, let's say, just for a joke, kind of like just to explain, to me, is like we can even say a better model registry and call it a team, or a more complete model registry. That's also valid. Of course, it's like Ramesh, you're free to speak about, because I think that in the recording we don't have the chat. So if you want to propose that one, feel free to use the voice.
I mean, this is no secret that, when we put out when we started discussing Kubeflow 1.10, I mean, the major three themes we were talking is introducing the UI for the Cube model registry is one side we wanted to go. The second one is, exploring the options with storage is the second one. We were thinking the third one is integration with the other components, like the one trading operator you just mentioned, or ML flow, right? If there is a common, I don't see a common name we can come across, but maybe we could say moving into beta or something.
Yeah, that is not really a theme, I would say,
But,
about
yeah,
data, but definitely, for instance, I was thinking about the same three teams too. So thank you for this. The thing that I'm observing, however, is that one of the priorities changed. So for instance, like when we set, I mean, if I rewind the tape 1 month ago, for instance, like UI, it was like UI integration storage. Now it seems to me that we're moving forward like UI storage integrations.
I mean, no particular order, but
Yeah, but it's like I would rather sort of like be generic then, and call it, maybe, I don't know, model registry with a UI and for their integrations, so that we have a bigger umbrella without going to the specific. And then if the people wants to know the specifics, they can come to this bi-weekly call and the roadmap. How does it sound?
sounds good.
Okay, so I will try to maybe just note it down, if that could be something like a model registry with UI for model registry, UI for model registry, and better integrations, so that we are generic. This could be a draft for a team, and then people can comment. All right, thank you for it. So there are anybody else who would like to speak to this item? Okay, doke. So next one, CV tracking. Just to recap, the platform working group has an automated scanning for CVs in the images that are available as part of the Kubeflow manifest. What they're asking is to keep tracks on it. So I have an issue item that I'm keeping update in our model registry. So if I go here to issues, and then so the monitoring. So the one that I mentioned is that the one for Kubeflow model registry, this is on September 2nd, so almost 1 month ago. I think that it was accounted for one here in the critical CVs. So just by refreshing and continue to keep the image up to date and refreshed, this is getting better. The thing that I also suggested is that I sort of like raised to the pipeline working group some questions, some advice, some guidance about the support for MySQL's images, because that seems to me like just from a Pareto point of view is like the biggest source of CVs from that. Is a shared image. I'll just try to do my best in repeating what Ricardo mentioned. Of course, we are free to take our own choice. It's not that we have a dependency. That is not about the case. But since this is images that are shared with the pipelines, I think this could be a good discussion to have with that working group. At the same time, if people want to take a stab on it, there is the links to where they can we can download the reports for the CVM image scanning, and then keep these things in check. So this is what I've captured here, especially the opportunity to bump the MySQL images, because it seems that could be the greatest, so like the quickest win, or like one of the low-hanging fruit that will give the best benefit. All righty, moving on quickly, unless there are items, please feel free to raise the hand. Next, I put down a proposal for a small change on how we are making the release from Model Registry that hopefully could help us for integrating a bit easier or better, depending with the Kubeflow manifest working group. So today, what we have today is that we are simply releasing from a tag. The proposal described that from the next feasible release, we'll just move it from releasing from a branch. So it means that I will cut off a branch, I will make the tag on that branch, and before making the tag, I will just pin down the manifest images so that at least we have something that is easily sort of like a recallable every time that we need. What is not changing here is described. I think it was important to do so, and also thank you, by the way, Alessio, earlier today for having some early checks. So Model Registry is still alpha. So this is where we note in that one. The dev workflow still will open the pull request against main. So just we don't have like a development branch of sort and these things alike. And as well, those are just release branches that are for technical support, not for the technical help in making these things machinery going, but it's not for making a support of it. And here listed some of the reasons, including what I would like to do is to drop the A1 suffix from the Python Model Registry Python client, simply because that is a bit of a friction when I'm browsing from PyPy. So if, for instance, if you go here it's easy to see, but since that is just a pre-release, it's a bit difficult to sort of like browse it if you enter this one from here directly, or if you are installing it. So when you do installing, it's to supply a special command line flag to pick it up with the A1 item. So I don't have too much more to speak about this item, but basically it's open if there are any sort of like comments or objections to that one. I will just proceed with this one at the next feasible release. So,
Basically, you want to drop the alpha tag, right?
not for only for the Model Registry Python client.
Right.
Yeah. So the sort of like the Model Registry, it's still alpha. The images that we produce to Docker Hub will still have the alpha suffix as the release team asked us to do initially. So I don't see any problem with that. But for the Model Registry Python client, it's quite annoying. From my
I agree. Yeah.
And indeed, it's like we have in the Kubeflow website, this is reported alpha. In the Python client README, this is you will be able to see it. So it should be clear. And also the version start with 0. So let's say.
Yeah. I don't think we need to. Yeah, I agree with the proposition there, Matthew. I don't think we need to designate the alpha designation in the release versions, right? We are saying, even on the release, we can tag them up alpha probably, but I don't see why we need to put alpha or beta in the version numbers itself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just talking about dropping the suffix, right? The versions are still going to be in sync, right, between the Python API and the Model Registry release.
Yep.
The service. Yeah.
Yep. But what I can do definitely, Ramesh, is that also I can start a conversation with the release team and ask if we can drop the dash alpha from the images while keeping the 0 dot. So it's like if that makes sense. Josh, you wanted to add something?
Oh, I was more on the last topic, so I'll comment later.
Oh, okay. And then indeed, it's like here is the part where we are just keeping tabs on the roadmap. So this is what we are keeping tracks for as we chart our route to 1.10. So I think that we spoke about some of these items like the UI, as well as the integration or the storage, and as well some of the, how to say, chore issues or sort of like things that anyway needs to happen for that. So Josh, if you wanted indeed to add some to this last point, please. Josh, if you're speaking, you are muted.
No, I was back on the roadmap item, actually. 2 or 3 items back. So I was just waiting until you were finished.
I think that is like this is a good time to speak about the roadmap in general.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think about what the theme might be, and perhaps material productivity improvements delivered through significant enhancements to the UI and integrated workflows, something along those lines. But I'm very bullish on the fact that we're giving this increased invisibility, and I'd really like to make sure that users are engaging. So, this is probably outside of the Notebook 2.0, probably a fairly significant delivery for us in 1.10. But, I think it helps to be able to have people telling you where to spend your time. And trying to get feedback on some of these enhancements that you're doing, and UI design, I know is very difficult in a vacuum. But even the integrated workflows, which one to spend your time on, it'd be nice to get some user integration or user feedback. So anyway, just like to get the word out on those things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh. And indeed, I'll just give you the word, Ramesh, in a second. Indeed, actually, we have some of the user feedback that maybe is like it's a bit lost between CNCF Slack or the different issues or pull requests. Those tend to be, however, as well in some details. So sort of like they go into more of the specifics. But definitely, I totally agree that receiving high-end feedbacks or let's say try to make that surface more will be valuable. Ramesh.
Thank you, Matthew. Josh, couple thoughts and couple thoughts on this subject. I was thinking is, I know we earlier in the year we talked about the service, right? Having multiple service throughout the year. That could be one. We could try to see if that's a source of some more participation and coming up in here. That's one. The second one I was thinking is the visibility itself, like how we can. Are there any conversations? Are there any talks that are accepted from the KubeCon perspective in the on the November presentation from Kubeflow on our roadmap kind of sessions? Maybe mentioning it there, kind of where we are going, and highlighting some of the model registry features and highlighting either in a presentation or in blogs what we can write to bring more awareness to the folks. What we have available right now in the Model Registry as well as going forward, right? Those are the ones that came to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, we should try to take advantage of all of those. The challenge with a lot of those types of deliveries has been getting them organized and getting them completed. As you well know, we've got a lot of good draft material often, but trying to get it into a finalized form, as you know, and getting all the sign-offs on the approvals can be a little nutty. But I think that we should try, and I think we should make efforts to make that happen. So both of those suggestions, if I caught them both, trying to get into the talks or even in the presentations, even if they're messaging that is clear and consistent, and then trying to get some type of more detail defined in blogs that can come later.
Yeah.
Or at the same time, whatever, however we can get them done. It sounds like we have a lot of time, but we don't. If we're in October right now, November is
Right.
fast. All right.
So I mean, unfortunately, when for the KubeCon, when we were submitting proposals, we were very early in the stage, and we didn't think where we would be, so we didn't take initiatives to submit any talks from our team perspective. So if anybody from the broader Kubeflow, got in and giving this kind of a roadmap conversation, like Amber or somebody, I don't know if anybody is giving conversations on Kubeflow. We would love to coordinate with them. That's one. Obviously, blogs is something we can probably time. We can time it with the Kubeflow, and if there is a common promotional submissions, we can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it spurs a good point. Is like, Amber's done a good job of kind of keeping things organized. I believe that there is a CNCF meeting this week to kind of get things coordinated. But if we are going to be effective in providing clear and consistent messaging and allowing others, all the working groups to kind of dovetail in and have some way to add in their message, we're going to have to get our stuff together here and probably have some form of weekly meetings just on getting that done, in my opinion. Otherwise, I don't think we'll get it done.
I completely agree. I mean, maybe we could pull this one as a topic of conversations in tomorrow's community meeting to kick it out.
Yeah, I agree. We need some type of status meeting for KubeCon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Community leads involved, like Matthew here, and we can get group of these guys and with whoever is doing the presentation / blog coordinations together and get ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, look, often what we do, and again, I don't mean to drag this conversation into prior, but we try to stuff a bunch of stuff into a very long blog post, and those are tough to get approved, and they wander all over the place. They're kind of like me. We need to stay more, like bite-sized chunks. And I think that if we could get the working groups to kind of focus in on what they want, the message they want to get out, and somehow give them a blog methodology that is not too cumbersome, that might be a way for us to get multiple kind of hits out there and show how broad the community is and the growth that we're having. So I'm supportive of that. If folks want to go down, and I'm trying to give people more artistic control, because once you have these long, large blog posts with lots of different groups in there. They're like, oh, I want my part of them on the front and whatever. You get the point.
Let's give every group 100 votes or less.
Yeah, exactly.
And come up with excerpt of what you want to say, and collect those things into a document and reshape it into a blog.
Right, and a link for more. You want the dirty detail. I mean, a lot of what I think we should be doing is spurring people just to learn more, right?
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Definitely continue, but just maybe a random idea, but also just to sense and find my bearings is like, for instance, some Kubeflow bi-weekly meetings, I think is more like duty calls, like, making just progress on status checks. Others, bi-weekly call like today's or the one of 2 weeks ago, we had like a great demo. Would it make sense to have like a micro blog in the Kubeflow blog that sort of like say, hey, this is what we've shown in the bi-weekly that maybe could be of relevance, and a couple of screenshots and the link to the recording. Is this something that I can serve for, Josh? Do you think it makes sense?
I'm all for that. Look, I think that your point is well taken, is that, the community meetings tend to be more transactional. They often get bogged down in whatever. And I think that we miss in those community meetings talking about the workflows that solve people's problems.
Yeah.
So I think the demos are the best way to see them, quite frankly. And so if you have recorded demos, I think I'm all for, let's get those promoted, and then track the views and see if we're actually getting people watching.
Definitely, and I think it's like, for instance, like without sort of like remaking a demo, it's like, it's, to me, I always see it as a matter of cross-pollination or cross-linking, whatever you want to call it. Like, we have this recording, we have the bi-weekly meetings. We can try to have a couple of micro blogs entries, and then it hopefully will drive to the bi-weekly or watching the recordings if people are interested in the demo. It doesn't have to go into the same details as a recording, but at least can give an idea. Like, yes, I like the screenshot. What it is more about, as you say, just like a link to know more, and then they can follow the things. I will take an action item to sort of like maybe try to summarize and check with Heather about these couple of recent events, and then let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah, that's super. In my opinion, any kind of a PR is a good PR.
Right. Thank you, Josh and Ramesh, for these suggestions. I think it's super valuable. Right. Any other item that we didn't catch in the agenda? I think going once, twice. All right. So then, thank you everybody for the participation and the contribution, and we will see who can participate in the Kubeflow. I always invite and make the call to the Kubeflow community meetings, happen every Tuesday, so don't miss out to also get the update from the other working group, and otherwise in 2 weeks for the usual Model Registry bi-weekly call. Thank you all.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Bye-bye.